Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Real Heroes Show. You got Cory here with you as always, and in today's video I want to talk about speakers, particularly the speakers that I currently have in my home theater setup. Over the last 15 or 16 months I have gone through some pretty significant changes in my home theater, and I figured I'd let you know what I'm currently using today. I do a lot of 4K Blu-ray reviews here on the channel, so probably a good idea to go through and let you guys know exactly how I am listening to all of those 4K Blu-rays. So just to give you a little bit of history, got to know where you were to know where you're going or where you're at currently. So I started out right before the pandemic hit. I had a Vizio soundbar system. So it was a Vizio Dolby Atmos setup, which I think retails for somewhere in the $400 to $500 range. It had 3 front-facing speakers on the bar, 2 little up-firing guys, and more than what most soundbar setups had, it did have some satellites in the back for surround sound, and a subwoofer. And I was pretty happy with it. Then I started diving into a little bit higher definition audio, getting into the Blu-ray stuff, and home theater becomes a very time-consuming, money-consuming hobby, and made some upgrades. Bought a receiver. I had bought a Denon receiver that was Dolby Atmos equipped. Was pretty happy with that. Got some cheaper speakers. I won't say the brand names. I don't want to call out anybody for being cheap. Sometimes things are made to be budget friendly, and that's perfectly fine. I am still using some of those speakers in a bedroom now. They sound terrific in a bedroom setup. I have a nice little 3.1 in my master bedroom. It's beautiful. Love it. So after having those for a while, made some upgrades. I had switched over and started using some SVS speakers. Most people know SVS from their subwoofer lineup, which I am still using 2 of their subwoofers in my home theater setup. I have 2 of their PB1000 models. One is placed in the front of the room, one is placed in the back to hopefully line up some of those nulls and the dips in the bass. I'm pretty happy with it. So SVS, great stuff there. I started out by using some of their Prime series products. So I had the Prime bookshelves for my left and right in the front. I had the Prime center for my center channel. I had Prime surrounds for my rears, and Prime elevations for my heights. And I still use the Prime elevations. Those are mounted like 8.5 feet up. I'm not doing the work that's required to take them down right now. Somewhere in the not so distant future, I'll probably go the ceiling mounted route and do something in the actual drywall right above my head. But that's a little ways off. Got some house renovation that needs to be done before that can be a thing. But again, this is a ever-evolving hobby. There is always something that can be better and can be more expensive, which leads me into what I have decided to do recently. I made a change probably about 4 months ago at this point. I had decided that I wanted to take another step up and go to a higher quality speaker, at least for my front soundstage, because that's obviously the most important thing that you've got going on, especially that center channel. So, but at this point, things were starting to free up a little bit, started feeling a little more comfortable going out. I did want to audition some speakers before I made any decisions, move them into my theaters. So I went to a local shop that had 2 different setups. I went in there. They had a living room style setup, which was more akin to what I have in my house. And then they also had a dedicated, like a full home cinema that had theater seats and tons of ceiling stuff and sides, rears, fronts, subs everywhere, that whole thing. But I'm not quite there yet. My house doesn't really have room for that, so everything I have is in a living room setup. But thankfully, they had something like that, and they were able to put some different speakers in there. I listened to some Golden Ears, I listened to SVS Ultras, and then I auditioned some speakers from Paradigm, which is what I ended up settling with. So I went with the Paradigm Premier series, and After having those for a couple months and being extremely satisfied with them, I added 2 more last week for my rears. So now I have all of my ear level speakers are from the Paradigm Premier series. Still have those SVS elevations up top, and honestly, for what they are, I don't think I'm going to change them again anytime soon. May get some Paradigms, like I said, for the ceiling in the not so distant future, but you know, the coloring from the elevations is not as extreme as it was when I switched out and got the Paradigms up front and then still had the SVSs in the rear. The difference in timbre was pretty different. You could hear the difference. So making that switch and going full Paradigm for left, center, right, and the 2 back rear channels, huge for me. So I'm going to probably look away a little bit as I go over some specs here. The left and right channels, I have the Paradigm Premier 200B, which is the larger bookshelf speaker. Those have a 1-inch XPAL dome, ferrofluid damped and cooled, perforated phase aligning tweeter lens for the tweeter for high frequency, and then they have a 6.5-inch art surround with carbon infused polypropylene cone for the mid and bass frequency driver. So what does that actually mean? Well, Paradigm has a trickle down type system. They have a speaker at the top end of their line that's called their Persona line, which is basically all bets are off, everything is ludicrously expensive. I can't afford it, but thankfully, after a while, they have trickled down some of that tech into some of their more affordable lines. So the PPA tweeter and mid-range lens technology, they describe that on their website as a distinctive perforated lens in front of the tweeter and mid-range drivers that increase and smooth output without coloring the sound, while also protecting the drivers from getting damaged. So basically, they've put a perforated lens in front of the tweeter and the cone, which you don't see that on many speakers, but the way Paradigm has designed it, it allows for you know, better dispersion, higher sensitivity on the speakers, so you can go a little bit louder with them, but at the same time, their thing is total neutrality in the sound. So they're not super warm, they're not super bright, they're neutral. They are designed so that way whatever you're listening to, you are getting the intended sound from the person who created that for you. So really cool there. It's a really neat technology, and it looks kind of cool too when you're looking at the speakers. I'll put up some images in this review so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But the other major thing is the patented Art surrounds. Art is active ridge technology. So what that does, they're little grooves around the cone on the woofers. They're made in-house. All of these speakers are hand-built, which is also very important. They're not done off an assembly line. They are made in Canada and then shipped out either to a dealer or to an end user. So by having these art surrounds, they're over-molded directly onto each woofer and mid-range cone. They achieve greater excursion for 3 decibel gain in output and a 50% reduction in distortion. That is really important because distortion basically kills the entire experience for you. If you're pushing your speakers and cranking them up and getting pretty loud, if you have cheaper speakers, they are going to distort. Things are not going to sound right. You'll get crackling, peaks in your highs. It's just not going to sound great. These are made from injection molded thermoplastic elastomer. They are more durable and more reliable, ensuring a lifetime of superior sound. So longevity is also important. You know, when you've got stuff that you may want to hold on to for 5-10 years maybe, you know, that is an important thing. Having a product like that where it's built to last is pretty cool. So again, they are handmade in Canada. They're partnered with the NRC up there. They have a giant anechoic chamber that they use to test all of these speakers, which is amazing. When you look at the photos, it's worth giving it a Google, taking a look at it. And all of these speakers that I have, whether it's the lefts and rights, the center, the rears, they all have that same technology. So you're going to get the same 1-inch tweeter all around all 5 of them, which is awesome because you're going to get uniform sound from your front effects your center channel, which is a lot of your dialogue and a lot of your heavy lifting in a movie, and then also in your rears. So the 200Bs, again, the tweeters 1 inch, and the mid and low end woofer is 6.5 inches. The rears, I have the 100B, which is the smaller bookshelf speaker from the Premier line. Still that same 1 inch tweeter, but you drop from a 6.5 inch woofer down to a 5.5 inch woofer. These are the ones that I recently got. Man, what a difference. I thought that the surrounds I had were good. These are ridiculous. They really just wrap that sound around you entirely. They put you into the bubble that you see online, which is a lot of fun. I know that there's a lot of tech jargon that goes into that. I don't understand most of it. I'm a simple man making my way through the galaxy, as Boba Fett and Jango Fett like to say, but I am blown away by the sound characteristics, the tone, the timbre, the neutrality. It really is getting the job done for me. And to save the best for last, I have the Premier 500C center channel. This one's a little bit different. It's got 4 parts to it. So there's the 1 inch tweeter, which is the same as the front bookshelves and the rear bookshelves. There are 2 woofers on there that are 5.5 inch, so the same size as the 100B. Then there's also a 4 inch mid-frequency driver. So you've got the 2 woofers on the left and right, and then the tweeter and the mid-range are stacked on top of each other. That is really important, so that way they're not out of phase with each other. They're both lined up directly with you, so that sound is going straight to you. The center channel is easily the most important speaker in your home theater. It is where all of your dialogue is coming from, and a good deal of your effects when it comes to explosions, gunshots, any of those things. So I always tell people that have asked me recently, what's the most important thing you've done? Center channel, absolutely. It is easily the most important part. All of the other stuff does a really great job of immersing you and putting you into it, but if you can't understand the words or the dialogue is muddy, you're really doing a disservice to yourself. So out of all of these, the center channel was the most expensive speaker by a pretty good deal, which makes sense. It needs to be good, and then you build the rest of your system off of that. So I am extremely satisfied with the way these sound. At some point, I will probably change them because that seems to be the curse of being a home theater enthusiast. Is you upgrade, you're happy, then you're not happy anymore. After a while, you get used to the way it sounds. People come over and tell you that it sounds incredible and it's better than going to the movie theater, and then you sit down and go, "Yeah, it could be better," and then you're going up to the next line. So thankfully, Paradigm has 2 tiers above this. They have the Founders series, which is a brand new line that just came out, and then the Persona series on top of that. They also have a line of their own ceiling speakers, which is probably what I will upgrade to at some point. They have their own subwoofers too, but to be honest with you, I'm probably going to stick with the SVSs. If anything, I'll upgrade to a fancier version of an SVS sub, or maybe move to a Rhythmic. I've heard some pretty good things about Rhythmic as well. So who knows? But very happy with the way this has all worked out. It has been expensive. It's a lot of learning. It's a lot of testing and dialing things in to make sure that it's good. But overall, it's been a great experience, and it has changed the way we consume media here in our house. Things elsewhere just don't sound the same. Watching off the computer or an iPad or even the 3.1 setup in the bedroom just feels small and minuscule and not quite the same. I mean, when you have everything dialed into that one sweet spot in the house and you just park it there and put on a movie, it really feels like that movie is designed for you to be watching in that spot. And I'm curious to see, when I'm brave enough to go back out to a movie theater, how that experience differs from what I've got in my home now. But only time will tell on that. Hopefully be heading out soon to check out some stuff. So I know I rambled quite a bit on this one. Hopefully you guys stuck through to the end. I haven't seen a ton of reviews on Paradigm's speakers, especially the Premier line online before. So hopefully if you're interested in this line of speaker, this helped you in any way, shape, or form. If so, I'd love to hear from you. Drop me a comment below and let me know what you think. Have you eyed up these speakers before? Are you curious about how they sound? Did you pick another brand over those? Whatever you did, let me know. I'd love to hear from people that are in this hobby with me and are enjoying movies and TV shows in their home with the best audio fidelity possible. And as always, you can go ahead and support this channel. Just click that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, turn on your notifications, and share the video with your friends. We have tons of great content coming at you. Nick posted a review of an anime series from Netflix called Record of Ragnarok this week. It was an awesome review. He watched another one recently, so probably another review coming up soon for that. We've got more Star Wars videos. Bad Batch still has a few episodes left. Ted Lasso is coming out this week with season 2. And then looking forward to this year, a lot of movies coming out before the end of the year. You got the Suicide Squad, Shang-Chi, The Eternals, Spider-Man Far From Home. We're going to cover all of those, as well as all the series on Disney Plus too, man. Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, Book of Boba Fett, you name it, we're going to cover it. Really excited for all of that. So stay tuned for all of those things, and until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.